It's a sign of growing turmoil in Brazil's government. As cases of the coronavirus surge, the country's health minister, Nelson Teich, stepping down after just less than a month on the job. Brazil's previous health minister, Luiz Mandetta, was forced out on April 16th. Both men clashing with right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro, who has downplayed the threat of the virus and encouraged Brazilians to ignore stay-at-home orders. Teich was caught off guard when Bolsonaro issued a decree allowing gyms and beauty parlors to reopen. But the last straw for Teich appears to have been Bolsonaro's insistence that he promote the use of hydroxychloroquine, an unproven treatment for the virus.
For Slovenia, at least, the COVID-19 headache is officially over. It's the first country in Europe to declare an end to its epidemic. Authorities say they've recorded fewer than 7 new infections per day for the last 2 weeks in a population of 2 million. Well, so far, in total, the country has reported fewer than 1,500 coronavirus cases and 103 deaths. That's despite the fact that it shares a border with Italy, once the European epicenter of the virus. After recording its first case on the 4th of March, it then went into lockdown 8 days later, one of the first countries to impose emergency measures. This included closing schools, shops, restaurants, bars and public transport.
Air Force planes airlifted patients from Chile's capital to hospitals in faraway cities. While in Santiago, ambulances waited with sick patients outside hospital emergency room entrances for up to 10 hours. Tens of thousands of Santiago residents ignored calls for social distancing as they queued for essential goods ahead of the start of a total lockdown, something President Sebastián Piñera had said would not be necessary. But the explosion of COVID-19 infections in the capital, up by more than 500% in 2 weeks, dashed his hopes of controlling contagion without shutting down the economy.
There's a pandemic red alert here for anyone who had their hair cut by a renegade barber who authorities say remained open in defiance of the lockdown. That barber has now tested positive for COVID-19, and it's feared he and his customers may have exposed hundreds of others to the virus. An urgent alert says anyone who has received a haircut in a Kingston, New York barbershop in the last 3 weeks is urged to promptly contact their primary care physician and seek testing. The barber and shop were not identified. His shop is one of 4 on this street 90 miles north of New York City. Look, a sign in this barbershop says, "Governor Cuomo says work from home. This is my home."
The endless beaches of France and the majestic mountains of Austria. In any normal summer, German tourists love to head for these and many other European beauty spots. But because of the coronavirus, the route to Germany's neighbors has been blocked at the borders. For many, the pandemic has given travel a new importance. But there is a sign from the German government how it plans to reopen its frontiers. The border with Belgium and the Netherlands was never closed. From today, police will not patrol the Luxembourg border either. To the north, Denmark has said it is willing in principle to allow the traffic to flow, but needs more time to work out the details. Germany's borders with France, Austria, and Switzerland have been seeing a loosening of restrictions.
It's been a month since anyone's died from COVID-19 in China, and the government wants to keep that momentum going. It's been making tests more accessible and screening residents en masse. In Wuhan, where the pandemic began, at least 3 million people have been tested since April. And after 6 new cases were found this week, city authorities announced an ambitious plan to test all of its 11 million residents. And that's not all. China's Southern Airlines has enhanced its disinfection measures and has created special quarantine areas on international flights. On the ground, a concerted effort to develop a vaccine.
During the clinical trials, there weren't reports of any major adverse reactions. If everything goes to plan, we'll be finished with the second phase by July.
Just a few weeks ago, this market was bustling with life and sitting on dry land. It's in Uganda's capital Kampala, on the shore of Lake Victoria. The lake's level has been rising and the market traders' livelihoods are underwater. This man's trying to dig out his shop, which is little more than a metal cage, so he can take it elsewhere. The market chairman tried to help by building this walkway.
The water level started increasing back in December. We built the walkway to access the shops, but it kept on increasing, and now you see the shops are underwater.
Around the lakeshore in neighbouring Kenya, the rising water has washed back up rivers, causing flash floods. This woman and baby were lucky to survive, but dozens of people have died.
Incredible military equipment at a level that nobody's ever seen before. We have no choice. We have to do it with the adversaries we have out there. We have, I call it the super-duper missile, and I heard the other night 17 times faster than what they have right now. Then you take the fastest missile we have right now. You've heard Russia has 5 times, and China's working on 5 or 6 times. We have one 17 times, and it's just gotten the go-ahead. 17 times faster, if you can believe that, General. That's something, right? 17 times faster than what we have right now. Fastest in the world by a factor of almost 3. So I just want to congratulate everybody and thank everybody. Space is going to be, it's going to be the future.
The United States is convinced that China is spying on its systems. What does Beijing want? Everything, especially coronavirus research, says Washington. Trump administration is crying teeth. It says hospitals, research labs, pharma companies, and even healthcare providers have been hit by Chinese cyber attacks. What is US planning to do about it? Pluck every suspected Chinese mole.
High-profile arrests are being made in the US. Anyone suspected of spying for China is being picked up. 2 arrests have been made in the last 1 week, both by the FBI. Dr. Qing Wang has been arrested from Ohio. This happened on the 13th of May. Wang is a former employee of the Cleveland Clinic. He was arrested on fraud charges.
Of the trips involving the X-37B spacecraft, this next mission also remains top secret and classified. But Air Force Secretary Barber said this week the X-37B orbital test vehicle will take off May 16th from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida for its 6th mission and incorporate tasks for both the U.S. Space Force and NASA. This latest mission comes after the X-37B spent 780 days in space, completing that mission last October. The flight marked the spacecraft's longest mission yet in space. Altogether, it's already spent a total of 7 years and 10 months in orbit. What we do know about this latest mission is that the X-37B will be bringing equipment and various technology to conduct experiments, along with reportedly deploying a Falcon Sat-8 satellite.
Staying in India now, where at least 24 people have died after 2 trucks crashed in a northern state. All casualties were migrant workers who were on one of the vehicles. Now, this comes amid a nearly 2-month lockdown in India, which has stranded millions of migrant workers. Many of them are defying lockdown rules to return to their villages, some risking their lives by trekking or hitchhiking.